Good evening, viewers. Welcome to another show of Spotlight. Today's Spotlight has been on New York Congressional District 7. It has about 700,000 population, out of which 48% are male and 52% are female, 49.4% whites, 36.4% blacks, and unemployment rate has been 8.7%. And average household income is 55K. High school diploma holders are 84, and then college graduates are 38.1%. This congressional district is being represented as by Grace Meng for the last 8 years, and she is being challenged by Tom. And he's an ex-veteran. He's here with us to discuss how his campaign is going on, how he is garnering the votes for his party. He is contesting from Republican Party. Welcome, Tom. How are you?
Good evening, Krishna. Thank you for having me.
Okay. So tell our viewers a little bit more about yourself, Tom.
Yes. Hi. My name is Thomas Mitch, and I'm running for Congress in Congressional District 6 in Queens, New York. I'm retired right now from being a bricklayers union for 35 years. Construction manager, and I was 8 years in the Army Reserve. I got called to the Gulf War. I'm a veteran of the Gulf War, and at this point now, like I said, I've done my time working, and I'm retired. And I've been sitting home, watching the news and seeing how this country's going. And I've decided that since no one ran against Grace Meng in 4 elections, that someone needs to run against her and give the people in America a choice.
Thank you very much. And audience, my apologies. I have mentioned it as the New York Congressional District 7, but this is District 6. He is from District 6. So tell us more about your experience in Gulf War, and then how and why do you support Trump's no war outside? We don't want to fight war outside our country. Tell us more about that, and then your policies about national security.
Well, at this point right now, we believe what the president says, that it's America First policy. We need to stem the flow of illegal immigrants into this country because they're draining services, draining services from our economy, from our own people. And we believe that we are a compassionate country, yes. And there are a lot of legal immigrants that have come here and are very resentful for the way that they're being, that the illegals are being treated better than them. Our national security, we have to worry about at this point with the flood of people coming over the border, with human trafficking and opioids and drugs that are coming into this country. The border needs to be sealed off because that is the decay of our economy and our people and the quality of life in this country.
How much money we may have spent on the useless Gulf War, which recently, should I say, ended, or still going on?
Well, I've been asked the question of, should we increase funding for the Border Patrol? Should we increase funding for national security on both ends? What has happened in the past, what is ongoing is that since the southern border is being kind of closed off, now they're trying new ways of coming in from the northern border from Canada. But with the COVID virus, most of that is closed off right now. So a lot of the flow is being stemmed. But with the money that's being used that we have in the United States here, there is plenty of money. It needs to be held accountable for, because that, like it says on my website, waste, fraud, and abuse. That's what we need to root out in all of the different programs that are going on in the United States. Because as you can see, there was almost a 25 to 30% fraud in welfare that was going on, and that money being wasted. But as far as national security wise, our agencies are the top in the world. And what we need to do is make sure that they're steadily funded and not defund the police and the local police like some of these mayors and governors that want to do around the country. So by me going to Washington and enforcing that we have enough support for our police and enforcement in this country, we will go forward and straighten out the mess that has been going on for the last 12 years.
Can you please tell our audience about being a New Yorker, the security on the streets, safety and security of the citizens, not across the borders? what is happening to our people within the cities, and then how you can make change.
Well, right now, with the COVID crisis going on, everybody is very depressed. They're very disheartened. And now, especially here in New York City, where they defunded the police. They want to close Rikers Island. They're putting criminals in hotels here because of the COVID virus, and crime in the neighborhoods that those hotels are in has been going up. And people in the neighborhood are outraged. And that's why with this election going on right now, the bail reform that was passed in New York State last year, these people, it's almost like it's a three-ring circus where they go in and they go out. Some people have been arrested 3-4 times within 24 hours by going out during the riots and the looting. We need to change all of that, and that's on the state level and the assembly level. What we're going to try to do in Washington is to bring jobs and prosperity back to Queens, because when I grew up working from high school in factories that manufactured things, that made material goods and made machinery and clothing equipment and things that were it was a high paying job at the time, and I was making more money than all my friends and people we grew up with coming right out of high school, because I had a job and there was plenty of work. We need to bring that back so that these younger generation, not everybody can go to college. Not everybody, they're offering free college, but even most of them go to 4 years and they have nowhere to go afterwards. There's no job for them. So at this point, it's just like what happened with my oldest daughter. She ended up getting a master's degree in chemistry. It took her almost 8 months to find a decent job, because they're not going to pay somebody high money at that rate coming right out of high school. You have to start off at the lower levels and move your way up. And that's what we need to bring back to this country, where you work for a living, you earn your living, and you move up through the system. Nothing is free in this country. And these younger generation now has been indoctrinated in the socialist agenda that they're entitled. They're entitled to free college, eliminate my college debt. They should not have signed those papers to begin with. Nobody forced them to go to college. Okay, because like I said, I've gone to college myself, but not right out of high school. I've done it in night school while I was working, even while I was married. I even went, a couple of nights a week to earn a construction management certificate for being able to get forward in my job and be able to move myself up the ladder, so to speak.
Oh, that's so nice of you. But what's happening is like the governments are giving free things to illegal immigrants. So legal immigrants, they definitely ask certain things free. Like, New York government and then your New York City government, they are giving a lot of, they are giving food stamps and things like that to people who are not so legal, and then taxpayers' money is going. So now the students are asking, why not for us, free education? So how do you support, or how do you condemn the city mayors and then governors who are swindling the money? I think you mentioned sometime back that this money is not managed properly.
Yes, absolutely. Just like a homeless problem here in the city, yes, they need services. Yes, there are services for them, but it's not being managed properly, because as we all know, here in New York City, the mayor's wife has been in charge of a program called Thrive. And over the last 4 years, they've had $1.8 billion allotted for that program over 4 years. And right now, the mayor's wife is in court, actually, because they've gone over the books and they can't find about 895 million of that money.
Oh my God.
Yes, they can't. It's not being held accountable for. But here's the biggest issue is 4 years ago, we had 43,000 homeless on the street here, right in New York City. Now we have about 80,000, okay? Which, with all that money that's being spent and with all that time and effort that was given in to that problem through the mayor's wife, we should have saw some type of an improvement, and we should have saw some type of improvement in services. Now, a lot of the problem that we've noticed lately is they're blaming the actual people themselves. They're saying they cannot force them to do things. They cannot physically lift them off the street and put them in programs. Well, guess what? We were out there and we've been in Manhattan and we've talked to homeless people on the street. We've offered them programs saying that if we offered you, a free place to live, if we offered you to go to training, and a lot of the people out on the streets are veterans, and they've already been in the military, they've already been trained, they already have some type of a career or move that they can go to. If they can, obviously it's of a problem of the services that are being offered, because obviously the people who are running it don't care, and they're getting paid per capita for all these people to take care of them. We need to hold these people accountable and where the money went and who's spending it where, because we have a program that we're going to include with Rikers Island. They want to close Rikers Island, which is one of the largest prisons here it is the largest prison here in the city. And they want to close it. The city council, the Democrats in the city council want to close it down by 2026. Our plan includes, which they want to close it, and they want to spend $12 billion to build 5 different jails in different neighborhoods around the city. What we propose is to take a 33% of that money, just $4 billion, and we can retrofit Rikers Island, the half of Rikers Island that's not being used right now because there's plenty of buildings there. Half of it is empty already. Use that other half of the island for people who need to be rehabilitated, for people who are homeless, for people who will join the program and sign a paper saying, yes, I would like to be helped either mentally or through rehabilitation from drugs, or at least to get off the street and learn another trade, or apprentice programs, computer programming, things that they can teach. And they'll go onto the island, they'll have all one-stop services there, and they'll be ready to come right off the island. And we can do that with about $4 billion, which is a third of the money that they're offering, that they want to build all these jails in everybody's.
We have seen the CARES Act is stalled because the Congress is not agreeing for whatever Trump proposed, and they want the states to be bailed out, and they literally blackmailing the people who are suffering from COVID with bailing out of the states. Your comments on CARES Act, why it's not being passed by Democrats in the...
Can you repeat that question? Because it got broken up a little bit.
Yes. Trump doesn't want to bail out the states.
Okay.
And then Democrats are connecting the CARES Act, like COVID, the Relief Act money with the bailing out of the states. So your comments on that one, please.
Okay, my comments on that. The HEROES Act is $3.4 trillion, which is double the amount of the last stimulus package that was given out. What the Democrats have proposed, and which they passed in the House with also my opponent's approval, they're trying to say that we need this money, but obviously it's a Democratic wish list. Okay, it is to bail out. It is hidden inside the whole package is money that they're asking for to bail out all the failed systems that the Democrats have put forward and wasted money on. And yes, it is $3.4 billion if we were going to do that in a perfect world. But number one, who's going to pay for this? We already have a $2 trillion bill from the last stimulus package that's being added to the national debt. And we cannot sustain all this print the money and spend it, print the money and spend it. That's the way the Democrats want to do it. And that's the way that this city has been run, that they think that the taxpayers are just a cash cow, that they can just keep upping the taxes on them and taking the money away from them and paying for it. Donald Trump is taking a stand, and which we agree with, and I agree with, that yes, it has to be, if you're going to put out a COVID virus stimulus package, it needs to deal with just COVID virus issues that are in the country right now, and then the next time we can pass a different bill if we have to. But at this point in time, with the national debt rising already almost $27 trillion, to add another 3.4 for no frivolous reason, because no one's being held accountable, is uncalled for. And we need to stand and fight and get people elected to take back the House, so we can actually pass a bill that is for the American people, to help them in this time of crisis, because the Democrats are trying to play on everybody's feelings, saying, oh, they won't give us the money. They won't give, we asked for it, they won't give it. But that's not the way it is. You can't just walk into the store and say, I want meat and food and vegetables, and have to give it to you for free. That doesn't happen. Someone has to pay for it. So by holding off on the bill and not voting it, not passing it, at this time, we need to recraft something after the election, because obviously they're not going to come back into session until after the election, to do something like Donald Trump wanted to do an executive order. I'm not sure how legal that is, to send out stimulus checks. But what I'm hearing is that Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to have nothing to do with that. But that's why we have to take back the House as Republicans, conservatives, to get some sensibility back in the House so that we can get rid of Nancy Pelosi and actually sit down at the table and negotiate with people. Because Nancy Pelosi for the last 4 years has done nothing but talk about impeachment, nothing but talk about Russia. And as you can see, she has no respect for the office of the president. And obviously that reflects back onto no respect for the American people, our citizens, who are the taxpayers that should be in charge of this country.
We have a president who is a family man who has 5 children from 3 wives, and all 5 children are helping him in some or other way. Nobody is spoiling President Trump's name. In fact, they are helping, including his son-in-law, who is instrumental in Middle Eastern deal. On the other side, ex-Vice President Biden, his son's dealings, making us laugh at. Can you please comment, because this news is not being telecast, or this news is not being taken by the mainstream media? Can you comment on Hunter Biden and Biden's dealings, and then how they are hurting our country, and what he can do if he is elected?
Well, obviously, what's going on now is that Joe Biden and the Democratic machine, they control most of the media. Okay, so not all of the actual real news is being put out there, and the actual truth, okay, that's being twisted whichever way they want to put it and what they want people to see. As you can see, Twitter and Facebook are being brought before Congress to testify now about some of the people that they've censored and people's comments that they put up on their platforms. What we need to do now is everybody needs to focus on what this election is really about, because if you have a guy who's been in there for 47 years and now is starting to claim that he's going to fix things, there's obviously a problem, because after 47 years, a lot of the problems, especially for minority communities, is because of bills that this man has sponsored and put forth back in 20, 30 years ago. And that's what people need to understand, that even with the Hunter Biden, okay, yes, you have a family, you have children who have drug problems. Yes, that's understandable. And we are a compassionate people in America. We understand that. He should be getting the rehab that he needs. But what's happened is the nepotism about going forward to having Hunter Biden be the front man for Joe Biden and being the front man. This is what we're hearing. And if it's all true, and they're saying now that it's a China conspiracy, it's a Russia conspiracy, that this is all fake information, it's all fake pictures. Well, there must be a pretty good double out there that looks like Hunter Biden, because a lot of the pictures the few that I've seen, because we're out on the campaign trail, I don't have much time to be on the computer anyway, that we've seen, there must be a pretty good double, because if they're saying it's not him, and a lot of people are saying it's him, obviously it's all a ploy. They back from the main, what it's all about extortion, and there's kickbacks, and there's money being made for somebody who's never been in the oil and gas industry. And it's really saddening that in American politics today, that things like this have been going on. And especially, like I said, for the last 12 years, no one has been held accountable in the Obama administration. And now with a lot of the distraction that's been going on for the last 4 years, this is where we're at. This is where we're at in America. It's like a 3-ring circus going on, and we need to get rid of the circus masters like Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, and the whole Democratic National Committee.
Okay, I understand that. Okay. You were talking about the economy. Biden says that he want to, there's 2 nice words, okay, no fracking and less packing. So that's what Biden does. Okay, if fracking is eliminated, okay, we have to depend on oil for oil and some other countries, and our energy independence will go. The prices will go up, and the economy goes to halting. So tell more about what are the effects of this fracking, and then what the decisions of Biden how they are going to hurt our economy, Tom.
States that do have high fracking, they are actually reaping the benefits of fracking. All right, there's a lot of industry, there's a lot of jobs. We've become energy independent in America for the first time, just like the president says. I grew up in the 70s, I remember as a young child, waiting on gas lines because Saudi Arabia and the OPEC, it was the oil crisis back in the 70s where you couldn't get gas on certain days, off and on. We finally, as a nation, have to look at where do we want to go into the future? Yes, they're probably, we can't depend on oil and gas, but to eliminate those industries altogether, it's going to take a tremendous amount of time, research, and money, all right, going forward. And I mean, he's talking about just, now he is. Before he was against it, he wants to eliminate it, just like Hillary Clinton wanted to. And now all of a sudden he changes his tune. He's a flip-flopping politician. You can't trust anything he says. He's just saying things to appease people to get their votes. And after he gets in office, who knows? Maybe Kamala Harris will probably take over because he's got such a dementia that he doesn't even remember some of the stuff that he even did himself. But the jobs in America that Donald Trump created were created because of the changing of the regulations and the rules that were put in place a lot by the Obama administration against the oil and gas industries. These industries have come back, and they've come back so strong that they've caused America to become energy independent. And at this point in time, we really think that going forward, a lot of it has to be looked at, and there are rules and regulations for certain areas that are involved that where they do the oil and gas, the fracking and the drilling and everything. Federal lands, they're talking about taking away federal lands and federal land leases and everything. But at this point, it all has to be looked at in a different way, because going forward, we need to find new alternatives to energy. And a new alternative to energy that I see is we have thorium nuclear power, which can produce almost 3 times as much power for 3 times less money than actual uranium nuclear power plants.
About the education and the school choice, your views on school choice, and then how the education system should be revamped.
How do we get the video? We lost the video, so I'll try to get it back.
I'm able to see you.
Yeah, as far as education, what we believe in education, the systems are falling apart right now in America, especially at the college level, with this socialist agenda and ideology that's being permeated throughout our system. Obviously, it's been going on for years, and it's coming to a head now, as we've seen with all of these different groups that are out there, Antifa and Democratic Socialist of America. And obviously, our colleges produced this because, first of all, they forced a lot of the kids to, you have to go to college. Then they indoctrinated them. What Donald Trump did by getting rid of the program 1619 is a very good step going forward, because we need to have the younger generation understand what our history is, what it's really about, and stop propagating the fake history that's been going around for the last 10 years or so, and teaching these kids about Indigenous Day and what Christopher Columbus did. What Christopher Columbus did was very, very heroic, what he did. We don't have people like that nowadays, like Neil Armstrong going to the moon and sitting on the moon. We don't have a lot of these programs that we used to have, we don't have anymore. Like NASA, Donald Trump brought back NASA, Obama's cut it out. We need to move forward as a society in order to go forward and see what we can do. And people start talking about climate change and man-made climate change. Well, there's been a lot of advances over the last years with recycling and issues of carbon emissions, with cars and with energy efficient appliances, not like it was 40, 50 years ago. It's a step-by-step process of learning and going forward, of research and development, which like on my site, I talk about the thorium nuclear power plants. It is 3 times more abundant material element than is plutonium uranium. So why can't we use this? Why can't there's almost no waste factor at all in it, except the only problem is once it's used, you can't reuse it. like you can with plutonium and uranium to make nuclear weapons. And from what I understand, it was developed back in 1962. And that's the reason why they went with plutonium, because it could be used to make nuclear weapons. But at this time, the nuclear threat has very much subsided from the way it used to be with the Cold War. So going forward, for humanity's sake, I believe that by putting research and development into the thorium nuclear power will be a very big step into the future of, yes, eliminating and weaning off the oil and gas industry, yes, having dependency on other countries anymore in the future, because if we use up our stockpiles, we will be dependent on other countries again.
Can you throw us some light on how veterans were treated in up to Obama era and how they're being treated now for whatever their due things?
As far as the Veterans Administration?
Yes, sir.
All right. Donald Trump has made very, very big strides in the Veterans Accountability Act, holding people accountable for what's been happening, the atrocities that were happening in our VA system. At this point, the biggest problem that I have that I would like to address when I get into office is the suicide rate for veterans. It is apparently still has not dropped in the last 4 years from 22 to still 22 a day, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big issue.
Mm-hmm. Why you think that this is happening, Tom?
Because of our endless wars that all these politicians have keep getting us into. We've had a steady stream now with the war in Afghanistan for 17, 18, 19 years now. Mm-hmm. And we have veterans that are coming back from frontline work that they've done there. And obviously it's traumatic. They're not getting the services that they need, and any services that are now being offered, it apparently isn't good enough. Because if it was good enough, those numbers should have went down in the last 4 years, especially now since they changed the veteran with the Accountability Act and veterans being able to get the care that they need. So there has to be some other factor involved. Maybe it's a medical factor. Maybe it's something that they can't address. Something that they know nothing about is the reason why this is happening. So we can put forth a bill to try to have that looked at. A 6-month study is to find out and look deeply into the real problems. As I've said, I've met veterans who are homeless on the streets, and they prefer to be homeless on the street than to go into some of these shelters that are horrific. And they don't feel safe in there. They feel safe by themselves out on the street.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for all your views on this one. We came to almost end of the session. Your final remarks to people in your district as well as people in United States of America who are our viewers. Why Donald should be elected? Why Senate should belong to Republicans?
At this point, we've already seen 8 years of Obama, and then we've seen the last 4 years that every step that Donald Trump tries to make, he's stopped or attacked and verbally abused by people who just don't like him. They need to understand who Donald Trump is. I mean, I'm not claiming to be a psychiatrist or anything, but he's got his heart in this country, and he stands up for the middle class working American people, taxpayers, just like that I am trying to do by running for this office. Okay, because being retired, like I said, I could not sit back home here and for another 2 years or 4 years and let this woman go forth, putting bills into Congress that lowering the voting age from 18 to 15. She wants to bring back illegals that have already been tried and deported from this country. This is a total leftist agenda, along with her friend AOC, who she's aligned herself with. We need to understand that who I represent in this is every single person, like you said, 700,000 plus in this district, not just certain segments of society. There are a lot of local issues that need to be straightened out here in New York City, but at the federal level, especially during the crisis, this Congresswoman took 4 weeks to send out an email to help people with informational emails to give out information on telephone numbers and where to go, who to see during the COVID crisis. My campaign put out a call to over 80,000 of those people on the second day after the shutdown, And people are very happy for it. People have been calling us back, thanking us for the information we put out. And she's a congresswoman who has resources that could have done that. But we did it with our campaign because we care about the people. And we would like for people to really know who we are and what we've seen. We have some videos that what we've been doing over the last 10 months on my website, zmich2020.com, ZMICH2020.com. And we hope people can come on there and see why we stand and why we are running and who we stand for is we the people. Because it's not just me, I'm running, yes, but I'm representing the silent majority of people who need to understand that there will be somebody out there to give them a voice in Washington. Because right now, all you're hearing is about socialism and communism and people taking people's money. And we need to have that stop and help the president regain the House and get the votes needed so we can actually make America great again with his America First agenda that he started out with. He's met nothing but resistance from the Democratic Party on every single issue. We need to have that stopped by regaining the 15 or 16 or so seats in the House so that we can get a majority and push forth this agenda and help everybody in this country. Because as you can see, even with all the attacks and all everything that the president has been perceived under, he still lowered the unemployment rates for almost every single category across the board as far as minorities and everything and women. It was the best economy ever in 50 years. We need that to continue even through this crisis because over the last couple of months, a lot of these jobs have come back. People have adapted. And that's what's so great about being American and in America is that our country has the resources and the freedom to adapt to situations like this and overcome them and go forward for the good of the people.
Thanks for your time and we wish you all the best from our side. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Viewers, that is the session for today, Spotlight. The elections are hardly a week away. Make the right decision, America. The future of America is in your hands.